everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Sexy Business Podcast. As always, I am the lovely Lewd Neko, and joining me is my co-host, Spooky Dangerous.
Hello.
And today we are going to be talking a little bit about Spooky's recent Fighting the Delisting Itch.io game bundle. But before we even get into that, let's talk about Itch.io, because it's been a while since we've covered, I feel like, the discourse, I guess, or all of the bullshit around publishing lewd games. So some of you may not be in the loop on exactly what's going on over at Itch.
Yeah, pretty much, and this was the middle of last year, really. July 26th, 27th, from memory. And the reason why I remember the date is because I pull up my analytics a lot, and you can see the dip very clearly, but they basically delisted everything that was adult content. We have basically the constant fight for censorship with the payment processors and the middle ground that Itch found of, rather than removing all adult content games, that they just won't make it easy to find the ones that are being sold for any kind of money. Now, the silly problem with that is the rally cry is that it's protecting their children and stopping them from having access to pornography. And we have that same rally cry in Australia right now because everything is censored. If you want to access any adult content, you have to do verified ID. And the thing is, that doesn't actually do a good job of protecting children at all. And I'll show evidence in a second. And the other thing with the Australian specific problem is that it's pretty easy to get around, and also it's not perfect. What it does is it hits all of the big websites that you expect to find it on, like Pornhub has become useless. But any other like small rip site where people are watching unethically created or sourced content, and where there's no safety measures, there's no filters, there's beheading videos and all that kind of stuff. It's basically back to the lawless internet of the early 2000s. So it's really actually a horrible solution to whatever the hell they think they're trying to solve here. And funny for us, adult devs creating stuff. And I don't know if I'll remember to throw the graphic up on the screen, but basically the move was you now have to have a free demo version of your game that's accessible to everyone because it won't be delisted. And since we started putting our games up on the free demo, our views to the paid pages even are 10x, like 9.5 times greater than they were before the delisting. So all they've done is made it way more accessible to find our porn content, but then our trouble is trying to convert that to sale.
Yeah, and I think especially in the case of like the game market space, right? It's already like so much of a monopoly in the case of like Steam, right? It's just kind of this monopoly we've all accepted. But when it comes to adult games, I mean, it's even more of a monopoly where like really it's like you have Itch.io, you have Steam. You have a couple of publishers, but usually they have very specific rules, or they only partner with specific dev teams, or they'll only accept completed games. And there's like a couple of like Japanese store sites. But really, it's like you can't get it on Steam. It's really, really hard to, get it from other places. And in the case of Itch.io, what was I always really enjoyed about Itch.io is they at least before the ban, they were a little bit more loosey goosey about NSFW content, what you were allowed to upload. Steam has been kind of notoriously inconsistent in how they do their rulings around like, oh, this character is in a high school, therefore they must be underage, or oh, this game contains a kink that we don't like, or this one's too violent, but we're going to allow this other really violent game. And so a lot of creators I know like only uploaded their games on Itch previously, and now they kind of had to scramble and find other places to put them. And then I think the biggest one is on Steam, you really can't sell visual novels that use assets from stuff like Honey Select or Koikatsu because they have specific sort of copyright agreements that would prevent you from doing that. So like a lot of people used to just kind of sell them through Itch.io where it's a little bit more like under the table. And so I've seen like a lot of those devs really struggling in particular. So Yeah, it's a shitty fucking situation, but we're gonna make our best out of it. Lewds will find a way. I mean, I know that much. Even if this situation does get truly dire, if we get to the point where it's like you have to like scan your fingerprints to jerk off to hentai, I think people are gonna figure out a way. We're gonna keep powering through and find something we can do about this situation.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, for my fellow locals, uh, Pornhub is completely locked down, but nhentai.net is not even touched slightly. So if you want to see 3D people, ew, yucky, that's really hard, and that's banned. But if you want to watch goofy badonkers that's fucking sketched by a horny Japanese man, go right ahead, king. So it's a bit silly, and we're kind of suffering from the same problem of what can we get through.
Yeah, and so, right now as we're kind of dealing with a lot of these, changing legislations, it's become really important to collaborate and kind of work together. That's always, I think, been like a cornerstone of like the sex work industry and
Mm.
sex work in the broadest possible term here of like if you work with porn, you count. Where because of the fact that it's so underground and it's so hard to advertise or get it to the people who want the product, we've seen in like the case of like Twitter, right? Like you get blacklisted so easily and you're not going to show up in anything. And so it's always been really important like creators collaborate all the time. It's kind of like half of why we made this podcast was so we could collaborate and give people a chance to talk about their games and hopefully get at least a couple more eyes on it. So Spooky, you formed a little bit of a plan yourself. What did you end up doing?
Yeah, so this was one of those things where a few dominoes fell that kind of gave me the idea to do the stupidest thing ever. The first domino was I got invited to do a big Steam bundle, like the biggest Steam bundle, and it's exclusively adult games. And the first run that they went at it was like $670 because there was like 1,000 games in there, and it was like 20% off or whatever. And they were like, no one's ever going to buy the whole thing. And 10 people did. Um, but the idea is that people see the bundle listed on all of those 100 game store pages. They'll open up the bundle and go, $600, that's ridiculous, what's in here? And they go and scroll down and they go, wait, actually, this game looks sick. And then they go and look at that game. So it basically creates a flow path for a user to make a purchase through looking at something else that is similar in category. A thing that the Steam algorithm doesn't really do the best, and especially
Yeah.
now because we're able to curate what's in the bundle so efficiently to have no AI slop stuff, that the greater the percentage of stuff that floods Steam that is AI slop stuff for them to actually see like real and good content, they're way more likely to go, wow, actually this is the good shit, and then make a sale. So like that was kind of the idea of how that went. And it went really well. It was our third highest selling day on Steam. The first highest selling day was the release of Shackles of Elswyn, because it had been sitting on wishlisting for a while, and we had like the Patreon and stuff rolling and getting people excited about this game coming out. And then I have no idea what the second one was, but there's another big spike on there, and then this one. So like it's the scale is crazy. And then I was like, well, I got to do more bundles, but I don't want to just do Steam. I want to focus on itch.io as well, because we do actually get pretty good traffic on itch. And so I reached out to a couple people from the podcast that we'd had on before. I'm like, hey, look, I just want to put together a bundle. I think like the void bound people and stuff like that, who I'm always chopping it up with. And I was like, do you want to just make like a regular bundle, and we'll put a couple games in there. And that went okay. And then kind of while we were putting that together, you can see while you're setting up in the itch menus that there's a button that's like, would you like this to be a reverse sale where it costs more money instead of less? And I'm like, that's interesting and silly, but interesting. And then I was like, well, what if we take the idea of the bundle that no one would spend money on, but would just look through the games and pick out the ones they want to buy, but also we can just charge money for it. And that's kind of where the first one came together, where we had 10 games, and it was $10 basically, and then each of the developers would get $1 per game, and it's a reverse sale, so you could actually just play all of the games for free. You wouldn't actually have to spend money to get the games. And the whole idea is that you would see the bundle and go, oh, wow, cool. Here's the thing. Here's some games I'd never heard of. I'll go and have a look at them. And 10 of them isn't like a huge amount, but it means that there's like 9 other people other than me going and promoting their thing and being like, hey, look, this is a cool thing that we've done. And you're trying to conglomerate all of those different little pockets of target market and stuff like that, which was kind of interesting. And it did okay. Compared to the big bundle, it did not do as good, but it made $100, and we were like, that's pretty good. That's like way more than the 0 we were expecting, right? Because you don't actually have to spend any money on it. So making $0 would have been totally fine, and what we wanted was just for people to see it, just for it to get views, really. And then all the games in it are free demos. Some of them you can literally just play in your browser, right? And it went really well. So it's like, okay, $100 is crazy for not actually giving you any product. We have to do this again, and we have to get more people. And so we came back and we did Fight the Delisting Free Demo Bundle 2. And this time we had many more people involved. It's 41 items. That's 4 times the size. And we have a gigantic range of different stuff. But we have the same 10 games from the first bundle. We got a couple of people that you will recognize from the show recently, because I was like, hey, please come on the show, please, please, please. And it went crazy better. At the time of recording, there's 3 days left on the bundle, and it's at $2,000 and 22 raised, which is crazy. And then we're going to be running it back, like immediately afterwards. We're going to try and get more people. We're going to try and keep it going for as long as possible. But the ratio for this one is slightly different. For the first bundle, it was like $1 per dev. And now that there's like 9 times more people, it's now you can play the games in the bundle for free, or you can buy the bundle for the $20 to tip the devs 50 cents. Because there's 41 games. It basically works out to be $20 gets you 50 cents per dev, and we wanted to kind of keep the number low, so it's not like, oh my god, here, spend $700 kind of a thing. And again, all these games are free demos. You can come and play all of them for free. We specifically checked each one to make sure that it's a free demo, and we also specifically checked to make sure that each one does not have any AI content in it. And then we put it all together, and most of it's just been us posting on Twitter and people posting on Discord, and we had one guy post on Reddit, which actually kind of blew up. It had like 10,000 views on it, which is crazy, because I refuse to go to Reddit. It's such a psychic damage place. So to actually hear a positive reception for something that we're doing, which is basically crazy. And we've not accused of it being a scam also. We've had a few people misunderstand and be like, oh, so for the $20, when will I get the full version of each of these games? I'm like, my brother in Christ, it's literally written on the tin. That is not what is happening here. But okay. So I wonder if there's some people that bought it and didn't understand what we were trying to do, but they could still just gone and played all the games that they bought in the same way. But the main thing that's trying to do is get the word out there, and I think $2,000 being spent, you have to think of it like this, that not 100% of the people that are seeing the page are going to spend the money. Probably only a small fraction are. And so if there's a small fraction of people spending a big amount of money, that means that a really big number of people have come and seen it. And you don't get analytics specifically for the bundle for views. You only get it for earnings, which is very unhelpful for what we're trying to do, unfortunately. But the earnings is good. And then my regular analytics is also a bit crazier. It's a little bit skewed because we posted the Creature of Casterfield update yesterday, and it added a whole extra third to our regular views, and it's skewed out. I don't know why that went randomly viral, but it skewed our extra thing. But the duration of the bundle has also just increased our regular viewership, which is crazy. So I don't know what, it sounded like the craziest, silliest idea I've ever come up with, but it really worked out.
I mean, I really like the concept of it as kind of almost just being like a little tip jar because so much of what folks in this space do is just shared online for free, and piracy is very much normalized in this community, and there are benefits to piracy in some weird ways where a lot of people who end up pirating games end up paying for them later on, or eventually they decide to kind of go and actually subscribe to like the Patreon or whatever. But making the decision to subscribe to like a $5 to $10 Patreon, people only have so much subscription money in a given month. And so I like that with this sort of like tip jar, you get to benefit 41 devs all at once, rather than having to sort of go through all 41 and make the decision about, I have $10 and I have 41 devs and only one of you can get them, like Bachelorette style. And it's also just like a really cool collection. I can only imagine for the other devs too, at least some of them have probably seen an increase in analytics, especially with getting all of those eyes on Reddit, because I am active on Reddit, unfortunately. And I go on the Lewd Game subreddit a lot, which is a cesspool. It's a very annoying subreddit. But I did see a lot of people talking about the bundle, and I've seen a lot of people really pop off because they had a particular post just go popular on that subreddit, since there is a good portion of the kind of like adult game community on Reddit who aren't on other spaces. And I know that because a lot of people on Reddit don't know what F95 zone is, because you're not allowed to mention it on the subreddit, but it's also kind of one of those things you pick up just by being in the community for long enough. So hopefully, all of the devs have at least seen, various forms of engagement, whether that's, more downloads or comments, follows on socials, and then hopefully, some sort of funneling towards their Patreons and whatnot. Not. You also just get like a really cool collection of games. I was looking through them right before this, and you got tons of interesting stuff, like lots of visual novels, but also some that have like various forms of gameplay, some like RPG kind of stuff. Also, all sorts of like fetishes and kinks galore. So no matter what you're into, there's probably something in the bundle that appeals to you.
Yeah, I made an effort to make sure that we had a pretty good wide range of things, so there probably is something for everyone. And like even in our immediate network, there already is a pretty wide range of stuff, and like just people we've had on the show, for example, we hit a pretty wide range of interests and stuff like that. But Pookie, who I've been chatting to a lot, makes kind of like a cutesy style of game, a more romantic art style of game. And I talked a lot while we were kind of setting this up, and they were like, "Hey, did you know about this Discord server, which is literally just for setting up demo fucking bundles?" And I was like, "No, obviously, this is not a thing I've done many times. Normally, some of the other people that run bundles, like the Future Fragments dev, I'll just say yes sir and throw my shit in there whenever I can, right?" And like this time organizing it, I have to find and talk to all of these people. And the way that getting a bundle to work is that each person has to click approve before it goes live. And there's 41 people that I have to fucking get to click this button. It's not easy. Shout out Big Band Ben for being the last person to click approve because he was on holiday and he got back from holiday 2 days before the bundle went live, and we still managed to lock it down and get him in there. But yeah, like a lot of it was, hey, do people know people that want to be in this thing? Hey, is there places where I can find people that want to be in this thing? Because yeah, Pookie put me onto this Discord server where it was literally just like post a bundle that you're working on, and we got tons of people coming in. And I have to manually filter each of them one by one. I have to check there's AI content. I have to make sure it is in fact actually a free demo, and stuff like that. And then, usher people into the actual server where we're organizing things and make sure that I've got all their info and stuff to put it together. It took a lot. This one in particular took a lot. And when we're running it back, we're looking at getting more people in. It's also probably going to take a lot, which is crazy. And I would love to hand it off to somebody else to do for sure. But the whole thing is that I'm really lucky. I'm in a position where things are going pretty well. And one of the things that my day job working in board games has taught me is that for every 90% of people which do it as a hobby, there's like less than 10% of people that can actually do it as a career. And OnlyFans is
Mm.
kind of the same, right? The only women making enough money to pay rent on OnlyFans is the like top 1% kind of creators. And same with Twitch and stuff like that as well, right? And I'm not making squillions of dollars, but I'm definitely in the top 10%. And I know that a lot of the people that are in the free demo bundle are hobby people that maybe would love to do this full time, um, or are using it as an in between thing before they get real work, like Void Dyne was, right? Like we don't see Wildwood as making squillions of dollars, but he's using his professional expertise to make it a good game with the hope that it might become the main thing, but also hedging their bets that a real job comes along, right? And that's kind of the thing, is that because these things don't make money, it's really hard to spend that time that is supposed to be job time, that makes the money that lets you feed yourself, lets you spend all the big money to go to the doctor and not die, like me. And those are like hard priorities to kind of choose, right? And so doing everything that we can to try and pull those people up by their bootstraps, try and help them, give them the shout out, help them get, a little bit of a foothold, a little bit of a start or whatever, a little bit of our audience to come and have a look at their stuff, is not like, you can just do it from a purely selfish perspective as well. Like, the more I help these other people, the more it helps me. Like, the more I'm out here helping them get their shit together, I'm betting on them to succeed. And if they succeed, they remember I was there with the pom-poms the whole time. And they go, hey, remember this guy? He was really cool and helped me out. And they like throw it back for me. And that's amazing, right? It takes like no effort to be someone's biggest cheerleader. And then if they do fail or disappear or fizzle out, then whatever. Like, what did you really waste? You were encouraging and excited for them. Big fucking deal. It's just, so many people feel like they're competing against each other in this space, in creative spaces in general, and it's kind of hard for me to understand why, when working together is so much more effective. And I feel like this bundle really embodies that mindset, where it's like, we are happy for you all to have this for nothing, but only through your generosity and your wanting these things to exist can you support us and help us continue to make these things. But for the least part, you now know about it. It basically is a frisbee that all the different devs can share and show people and throw it around. And then when a new person that hasn't heard about these things catches the frisbee, they get to look at it and go, oh wow, this thing that I really like, this one specific niche that no one makes games for, I get to see and be really excited about. And that's kind of the whole point of it. And the more different, I fucking hate this analogy already, but the more different frisbees we can make, the more people that will find our different stuff, and we can share around and show everyone and throw it out into the park and hope that someone over the age of 18 finds this and gets excited about the stuff that we make.
The adult park for
Yes.
frisbee throwing.
Yes, and the kind of dogs in the dog park is all leather.
Yeah, all the puppies.
The puppy girl dog park. Let's fucking go. Here's my frisbee. You want to play catch? Good girl.
And I mean, from like a consumer perspective, it's like so much of what's going on around us right now does like really make you feel powerless. And it is important to like vote and participate in like activist organizations, and go out and find the candidates who are actually making the kinds of decisions that don't fuck us all over and make us submit to like these crazy sort of like ID laws and stuff like that. But like voting with your dollar is also important. When you're giving $20 to like a dev for a game, like you're actually helping someone like pay their bills and like make like basically minimum wage so that they can hopefully maybe eventually do something part-time even, instead of just doing it as like a hobby. Because I know sometimes people will like I see this kind of discourse happen on like Reddit all the time. There's so much discourse about like oh, this Patreon dev is making X amount of dollars per month, that's ridiculous. But in many cases, that's their salary. And also remember that independent work, you have to pay taxes on that. So take away about 30%. and then also you don't have insurance. So like you're paying for that, or you don't get those kinds of benefits. So the number you might see on a Patreon or on like someone's sort of like profits of like, oh, they sold X amount of games. There's always a really big percentage that gets taken out of that. Even in the case of like OnlyFans, like a lot of people don't realize how much campsites and fan sites take from creators. Sometimes, it's like up to like 50% of their income they don't get, and then they still have to pay taxes on the remaining 50%. So those numbers can be misleading, and also, artists deserve to make enough to eat. And if you want to see these kinds of games, if you want to see this kind of art, if you want to see human made art, I feel like Spooky, you should really highlight that for the third bundle. Like I've seen some games lately that have like the like 100% like human made
Yeah,
sticker.
human only.
Um yeah, and I don't want to live in a world where Steam just becomes nothing but AI slop, or itch.io is just nothing but AI slop because, everyone else has been driven off the platform and they can't make enough money. So if you're tired of seeing AI slop, if you're like, man, I wish it didn't have to be like this. If Fuda Femboy House also makes you want to punch a hole in the wall, then go support all of these awesome creators who are doing the good kinds of work, who are supporting artists and voice actors and writers and all of these other folks. Because that I do believe that will have long-term impacts. I think right now we're in the AI is cool and everybody's doing it. My fingers are crossed that it's going to crash and burn, and then we can all make fun of all of these like AI slop devs eventually.
Yeah, absolutely. And I do want to drill into that point a little bit more because the three main, I follow a couple AI slot publishers, and they literally release a new game that's basically a clone of the previous one with slightly different character art every month. Like every month. And you think that there's more than just those three that I'm following. There's lots of different devs that are doing the same thing, and they're releasing it under different developer names, so you don't know it's the same guy churning out shit, and you're like, oh, I'll take a chance on this new guy. No, it's slop. We did a Femtasio video and went through it and reviewed it and played through the game, and it was just abysmal. And they have literally one-to-one remade the game with different characters just to be exactly the same thing again with a different name. And it's really disappointing. But yeah, the point that I really wanted to get down into is the big number problem. Because if you look at our one, we don't make enough money for one person to live already, but also a lot of the money comes out of that is paying our artists. We have, or me specifically, I have about 12 people working from me, either writers, animators, artists, and stuff like that, right? And I cut as many corners as I can doing stuff myself. That's why all the music is made by me. That's why I do a lot of the writing for the different projects. And most of my time is spent coding on things. And that big number gets small really fast when you realize how expensive some of our artists are, because I am paying them to make sure that they can live first before me. And that's a really hard thing to do just in general. And there's a lot of other devs and like OnlyFans girlies have it the same, where they have these huge expenses coming out first before they can even pay themselves. One of the big ones for the OnlyFans is DMCA Holdings, where you pay a company basically to erase stuff that's ripped from your copyright license, so that people can't just always go and find the leaks of your content, and it does stay exclusive to actually being paid. I obviously have mixed feelings about how good or bad this is and whether or not you should let some stuff sneak through, because I'm very pro piracy. You are welcome to steal all of my shit, but also know well that if it stops making money, I can't make it anymore. So that's the trade, right? And I feel like OnlyFans is the same. As soon as she stops making enough money to be able to pay the rent, she's going to find something else that does, because unfortunately we all have to eat and pay the rent, and a lot of our business decisions unfortunately hinge on that. And we're doing our best, and I feel like still so many people look at the game devs like we're this gigantic fucking 100-person AAA company, and we're just pushing out shit. And you wished it was so much better. And it's like, my brother in Christ, for the most of the things that we're doing, I'm just one guy. And I'm hiring a dude to do a piece of art, and it's really good, but it takes them a whole month. So there's only so much shit that I can add to the game in that time. And I'm, if not the only dev that actually releases game content every month for not just one game, but for 3 games. which is also insane. Like, I'm out here bumping and grinding like nobody else do be doing it, and we're still just, catching strays all the time for it. And that's part of the game. I get that, but sometimes you gotta realize that I am still a guy. I'm still here. I'm still fucking spooky dangerous. I'm still doing my best to make it happen, and it's tough. And I've been crashing out on the Discord a lot lately because there's been some stupid bullshit that gets me mad, and I'll write a big old rant about it. But sometimes that's what the podcast is for as well. I know I really don't like these depressing episodes where we talk about how the world is kind of shit, but we did a cool thing, and it popped off really hard, and people appreciated some of the cool shit that we put together for them, and I'm trying to keep that going. So if you also appreciate some of this cool stuff, consider spending $1, consider spending $5. $5 gets you 3 games, which is also insane. And just consider sticking around. Honestly, even just the podcast is fun to watch. If you're not, if you hate the games that we make, if you hate me in particular, hate the games that we like, we have really cool guests that come on to the podcast and talk about the stuff that they're making, and they're also worth having a look at. So that's kind of the goal. I want us all to succeed, and I'm not going to stop until we do.
And by the time you're watching this, the bundle will be over. But as we alluded to, Spooky is going to be cooking up bundle number 3. So now you have time to get hype and to be on all of the socials and follow all of the stuff, so that way you know when the bundle goes live. And it sounds like this one is going to be bigger, better, and sexier.
You could say I'm a size queen.
I feel like eventually we have to get it to exactly 69 games, right?
That'll be based. Yeah. Fight the delisting free demo bundle 6-7. Like, we'll get there. We'll get there.
And yeah, we'll get there. And you can always check out all of these devs, even though the bundle is over. Like Spooky said, I think we've interviewed or at least spoken about a lot of the people who are part of this bundle. So go find their stuff on itch, find it on Steam if they've got it. Go to their Twitters and their Blue Skies and all of the social platforms, because even if you have $0 and you don't have any dollars to spend, we get it. Times are tough. The economy's in shambles. But your attention does help. So things like retweeting a post or sharing, or even just word of mouth, telling your gooner friends like, hey, this game is pretty good, you should check it out. Or even just playing demos and supporting them that way, leaving nice comments on the itch.io, showing support. Indie developers read your comments. Like they have time to actually sit down and read all of your comments and all of your reviews, for better or for worse. You get to see all the hate comments. But it does also mean that I mean, in my case, when I was uploading a lot of my stuff to various tube sites, I mean, I scarcely ever got comments, because who comments on Pornhub, right? But whenever I did, I remember them forever. So, go show support in whatever ways you can. And if you do have a couple bucks to spare, think about your favorite devs, think about the games that you want to see more of, and maybe consider, leaving them a tip if you can, subscribing if you can, buying their games, or at least wish listing them and maybe catching them when they're on sale. I guess that's it. You got anything else you want to share, Spooky?
No, that's kind of it. The only other thing is that our YouTube channel is getting a pretty big number on the subscribers.
Yeah, you could share our stuff.
we're currently at 687, I believe, at time of recording. And every day the number goes up, I feel a little bit of joy. And I really, really would love to get to 1,000 so we can get monetized. And so that, first of all, this podcast could start making $1 a month. That'd be swag. But also, so that advertisers can put stupid fucking ads in front of our goofy fucking porn show. That would just be personally very satisfactory. So if you are watching this at the minute 33, 34, you're an enjoyer. Busted. You like the Goofy Porn Podcast, and you should click like, you should click subscribe, and you should click the bell, because God forbid we show up in the algorithm. That's the only way you're going to hear about our episodes. Or following me on Twitter, because I will be posting the episodes and also tagging any of our guests' accounts, which I feel like is a really underrated thing when you see the guests, you want to actually, be able to go and check out their stuff immediately. That's a really easy way to go and find it. I also post about the episode on our Drumroll Pre's Patreon. Would you be surprised? There's another easy way to stay up to date with all the stuff that we are doing. But yeah, go and check out any of the bundles we got working on. Go and check out any of our games. Creature of Casterfield really popped off lately, and people are very excited about that one. So you should go and check out our episode that we did recently on that game as well, because that is hot and happening right now. But are there any other buttons for people to click, Neko? Have I forgotten any of the buttons?
You can hit the like button. You can also leave a comment down below. We do always appreciate feedback and comments on this website as well. And especially in this case, I'm sure Spooky would appreciate any comments of particular devs or games that you think should be in the bundle. So if you know particular creators, especially itch.io creators who are maybe struggling, who have some really great games that are being hidden by their search system, let us know who these people are. Spooky can at least maybe get them into the bundle. And if they're super cool, we can get them on the show. As you've seen, we've had a lot of really awesome interviews lately. So these could be your favorite VTubers, voice actors, developers, writers, artists, literally anyone who is vaguely adjacently related to the lewd spaces. We would love to talk to them, but we don't always have, we unfortunately, we're both employed. And so we don't have enough time to sit and scroll around on Twitter or all these other websites and find these folks. So let us know, because we have had some connections come up because of comments. We've also had some games get suggested that we ended up playing. We might end up having some more game review type stuff over the summer, possibly. So let us know what's going on. What are your favorites? I guess that's it. So this has been another episode of the Sexy Business Podcast, and we will see you next time. Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.